Well, I had the opportunity here today to be with Stephanie McLain, and really appreciate you taking time to sit down with us in advance of the 6th Annual National Strip-Tillage Conference coming up this summer in Peoria, Illinois, August 1st and 2nd. And Stephanie, maybe just starting out today, give us a little bit of background on yourself, some of your experience and what you've been up to.
Well, first off, Jack, thank you so much for inviting me. It is an honor and a privilege to come to the event in August and be a part of such an innovative group and an exciting event. And I've had the opportunity to look at the other list of speakers, and I'm really excited about the other speakers that will be there at the same time. So just a little bit of a background about myself and what I've been doing. I work for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and currently my title is the Soil Health Specialist for the state of Indiana. And I've been in that position for just a little under 2 years now. And since I've been here, I've been hitting the ground running. I pretty much travel the entire state, working with the field offices throughout the entire NRCS structure in Indiana. Mm-hmm. And my job is education, outreach, assisting the field offices and implementing soil health management practices and working with farmers to understand soil health and how that works on their farm. And so I don't really slow down very much. I'm going from one event to the next, just like today. I was out in the field collecting soils for an event, a field day tomorrow, and we'll be running the rainfall simulator and then talking about soil function while we look at the rainfall simulator and look at those different soils under different management to see what happens when it rains. So that's what I've been doing really for the last 2 years, is just, I like to call it rallying the troops. I like to just keep people energized. I like to keep new people that are coming into these soil health cropping systems, these farmers. I like to really support what they're doing and really get them to understand what's happening on their landscape so they can feel excited about the changes, even if they don't happen as quickly as what they would like. So that's been my job. Before that, I was a district conservationist for 12 years. So I worked in a field office, working directly with farmers on conservation planning, field visits, understanding the primary resource problems on a piece of land, and then working with that farmer and collaborating with him or her on trying to find the best things that they could do out there to fix that primary problem. Sometimes that's a grass waterway or a terrace, and other times it's working with that farmer to transition their cropping system to less disturbance, no-till or strip-till systems, adding cover crops into those cropping systems and getting that cover on there. And especially the last 3 to 5 years that I was a district conservationist, I worked with a lot of farmers who were interested in transitioning to strip-till. And I was at that time working in southwestern Minnesota. And so I worked with quite a few farmers that were transitioning to strip-till, no-till cropping systems, who were adding cover crops into their cropping systems. And it was really exciting to work with these farmers. And one of the things that I realized is that I wanted to work with those types of practices and those things all the time. So that's what kind of pushed me to leave the field office and take the job as a soil health specialist. So other than that, prior to my lengthy career with NRCS, I guess it's not lengthy, I'm about mid-career, about 15 years or so. I started with NRCS in Newport, Vermont. And I was out there for a few years, and I worked in Watertown, South Dakota for a few years, and then started working in Minnesota and NRCS, and spent the longest length of time in Minnesota, and that is the state where I was born and raised. But so I think I was there about 12 years. So anyway.
Well, it clearly comes out of me. You genuinely have a passion for what you do, and obviously. Yeah. Particularly from the educational side and helping farmers understand aspects of soil health and why that's important. And one of the things you mentioned is soil function. And this is going to be something that I know you're going to talk some about during your session. Maybe you could share a little bit about why that is so important when we're talking about a strip-till or no-till environment.
Well, soil function, when you really think about talking to a farmer or to you or to anybody about soil health, we really get so excited about those management practices or the things that we can do, right? Adding cover crops to our systems, changing our management by using less disturbance and having no-till or strip-till cropping systems, adapting our nutrient management, all of these practices that we can do. But what it really comes back down to is the fact that each soil functions, with or without the management that we're providing and that we're putting on it. And so it's so important to look at that soil and really understand the actual function of that soil and see if it's functioning or if it's not, looking at specific factors, and then be able to look at your management and go, is what I'm doing actually benefiting the function of my soil? And some of these functions that we talk about a lot is nutrient cycling, is the ability of a soil to infiltrate and hold water, the ability of a soil to allow roots to penetrate down deep into the soil. There's many other things that we kind of talk about, but thinking about resiliency to reduced plant stresses and diseases, having biological habitat, water filtering. These are all functions that are there that if we don't look at them and constantly remind ourselves that these functions are occurring, we lose them and we don't really realize it until they're gone, because that soil is constantly trying to repair itself, heal itself, build those functions back in there. So what can our management do to actually get a soil to function or refunction faster and better? So those are the things that I really like to think about. I think the biggest thing with that is so many of our farmers and farmers out there, they're the hardest workers on the planet, and they work so hard. And so I like the idea of thinking that work can go in unison or benefit that soil function, and together you build a stronger system, a stronger soil ecosystem.
Absolutely. No, and that's a great topic, and I think one that's going to be highly interesting. I would guess there'll be a lot of questions certainly from your session, and appreciate you presenting a general session at the event. And you can catch Stephanie on Friday, August 2nd at the event. She'll be presenting one of our general sessions later that morning. Stephanie, I had the pleasure of getting to chat with you a few years ago at the Strip-Till Conference, and sat down with you and Jerry Ackerman for a really engrossing conversation with the two of you. So appreciated that opportunity and having you out at the event. As someone who's been to the Strip-Till Conference, just wanted to get your take on kind of what your impression was of the atmosphere, the environment, and kind of the general energy of being there. Well,
like you mentioned, that was, I think, it might have been 2 years ago at the Strip-Till Conference in Omaha, and it was a great event, and I really enjoyed being there. And so what I think about when you come to the Strip-Till Conference and at that event is the level of collaboration that you see. Farmers are talking to each other about the tools and the management that they're using and how it works for them, and other farmers are able to take that information and, let's just say, try it on for size. That's kind of the way I think about it, because one of the things that I've learned is that nothing works 100% for one farmer that works great for the farmer that recommended it. And so I think that idea of collaboration and exchange of ideas is such an important thing to have as we are kind of stepping into new territory as we change how we manage our soils and our cropping systems. And so I really like how that works, and it's really been, it was a fun event to be there.
Well, Stephanie, I really appreciate you taking some time today to share a little bit about your background, your passion, and what we can expect to hear from you at the conference coming up. So I'd encourage folks to consider coming out. Again, the 6th Annual National Strip-Tillage Conference coming up August 1st and 2nd in Peoria, Illinois this year. So Stephanie, really appreciate it. Looking forward to having you this year, and we'll see you out there at the event.
Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate coming here today.
You bet. Thank you.